In this video, I want to share with you some reflections on the Society of Experimental Biologies centenary conference, which it was in Edinburgh this year, which I had the pleasure of attending. Now, in this video, I want to share with you some bits about the Society of Experimental Biology, some points about how the conference went itself, and what type of things went on, or what was said or discussed at this conference. A bit about outreach and engagement, because this was the session I had the pleasure of being able to co-chair, and also being able to share with you some points about how to get involved with societies through conferences, how to work with them, how to get more involved as a PhD or early career researcher, and how that can therefore help you on your academic journey. So to start off with, the Society of Experimental Biology has three key pillars really: cell biology, plant biology, and animal biology. Now, the researchers who were there were looking at various areas from across the board, looking at how, for example, animals, plants, and cells react to climate change and how they are being either developing more robust mechanisms to combat that, and how scientists are effectively looking at areas to better support these animals, plants, and cells, trying to understand biomechanics, so how these plants, animals, and cells effectively look, how they interact with each other, and how that has effectively facilitated the evolution of different species and ecosystems to interact with one another. Now, there have also been a lot of areas which are more on the fringe of these pillars, such as looking at science ethics, looking at what goes into the science that we pursue and why we should pursue it in the way that we do, looking at outreach and engagement, looking at how we understand how we share our work with the public, how we understand our work in science with the general communities, and also trying to think of how we use different tools in our jobs and in our roles, such as new techniques, such as new imagery that we're using to identify cell structures, or whether we're using more AI models to effectively be able to work with communities, work with various citizen scientist programs to effectively support our work in identifying different species, particularly invasive species, or using that model in other areas to help us better identify these plant cells and animals in the various applications that they can be used in. Now, in terms of the conference itself was very interesting because it gave the opportunity for a variety of different events and sub-events where you're able to go and meet with different researchers and research supporting roles. So they had an expedition which effectively had a number of journals who were there and other emerging technology companies that were there, where the scientists could go and share their work and talk to other researchers or these companies who were effectively sponsoring the event. This was alongside the poster presentations. Now, the poster presentations are there where you can effectively go along, submit your poster. For the vast majority of the conference, the posters are there for people to effectively be able to read, engage with your poster, get your contact details from that, and then share their thoughts or ask questions on your research. Now, one particular area when the actual poster presentations are going on and the expedition is going, that is where the researchers can talk to the person presenting the poster directly. And that gives an opportunity to share your thoughts, share your ideas, and have that general dialogue and conversation with people who are either in an interdisciplinary role where they have a general interest and they want to know more about the work you're doing, or it gives you the opportunity to make those new connections to work on a new project or to support your existing work, and those are where you develop those connections really. Alongside this, there was a lot of opportunities for networking at different leisure events, such as the diversity lunch, which was all focused on how we effectively engage a wider plethora of scientists and bring them into the society, and also support their work and publications to effectively broaden the resources that are available to biology as a whole by drawing from experiences from individual scientists from non-traditional backgrounds, and then effectively helping facilitate them getting involved with those awards. There was also a variety of other events or dinners that were taking place where you had the opportunity to sit, engage with various different scientists for that reason. Now, the outreach and engagement event. Now, this particular session was my first time co-chairing an event, and effectively this was supporting various exhibitors who were effectively sharing what their view of outreach and engagement were. So that ranged from citizen scientist programs where they were working with field work to effectively engage communities into noticing invasive species so they could record that data, share that data, and therefore develop plans to engage or to come up with some form of conservation model to remove those invasive species from those particular areas. You had looking at diversity in science, which was looking at effectively facilitating widening participation in students or students from non-traditional backgrounds into the scientific community, and how that can be facilitated both in the educational process as well as the scientific institutions and societies as a whole. Alongside this, there was a lot of work with engaging communities in our work and how we communicate or share that. There was two particular talks that stood out for me in this area. One was looking at how we communicate effectively human health problems to residents who might not have that connection with universities or scientists and therefore need to have it communicated in a way that they understand and best shares that knowledge with them. And that was through community theatre and the work that this particular group had done to effectively facilitate that research with communities in Malawi. And that was from a team of researchers, but the person presenting it was also my co-chair, who was Dr. Nicola Veitch. She's from the University of Glasgow, and that her work was very much looking at African sleeping sickness and how to effectively communicate that to the residents of those communities. Then, alongside this, her colleague, Dr. Victoria Patterson, was presenting work on outreach in science, and effectively what she was sharing was how to put on outreach events in schools and in local guide groups, so effectively trying to communicate the scientific fields to younger minds to encourage them and give that early representation of not only women in STEM, but scientists as a whole to better communicate and share that. Now, in terms of why or how I got involved with co-chairing and how this, in my view, benefited my academic career, what it gave me the opportunity to do was I effectively went along to an initial conference, spoke to the various outreach officers, and it gave me the opportunity to just start a dialogue and see what work I could do to support those particular conferences or events. And it's something I'm particularly passionate about anyway. But by making those connections, you generally find that you're networked with other scientists, other researchers, some more senior than you, and you're effectively, as well as breaking down some barriers of entry for the next generation of scientists, it also gives you the opportunity to work with the societies and effectively set yourself in a positive light to effectively engage with them. And when an opportunity came up to co-chair a session, it was something I jumped at to be able to add that new experience to my academic repertoire, to be able to say this is what I was able to do, as well as being able to speak at this event. I was able to co-chair it and liaise with the various individuals who were speaking in my session. It was an opportunity to learn what they were sharing, their thoughts on outreach and engagement, but it was also an opportunity for me to understand how to better organise this for academic conferences and how to make the day run smoothly. Now, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video and you want to follow more for whether it be academic tips, more information about biology as a whole, or you just want to find out more about the life of a PhD student, do like and follow for more.